Yeah, so starting out with TrendSoft, that was the first big implementation we did. We originally had two different sets of software, one for our accounting and another one for our work orders and invoicing of our customers. So with implementing TrendSoft, it allowed us to get into one system and not have multiple different softwares to depend on and to integrate together. That implementation took a few months total to kind of get up and running. We always wanted to tweak a couple of things. The good thing about the software is it's able to adapt to us. I always give the programmers and the advisors that we've been dealing with a hard time. Literally, they've never said no to anything. So we just keep asking, can it do this? Can it do that? And every time they're like, yeah, it can do that. I'm like, all right, well, let's do it. Really easy to work with, where we're used to hearing, no, this is what the software is, it can only do this. Or simple stuff as like, this space is limited to 16 characters. In the past, like, that was it. That's all we got. Simple problems like that, like, yeah, we can extend it, it can be 300 characters. What did you want it to be? And there's been a lot of that, of kind of being able to tweak the system to make it your own, and had a really good base, and that's what attracted us to it. But then also making it our own and adapting it to our businesses. We handle a lot of different types of clients, everything from the oil field to automotive to home goods. So being able to have paperwork to satisfy all of these people, certification packets, things like that, the software has been very adaptable to all of our different types of customers compared to our past software. It being Microsoft based, it's familiar. Everybody's been using Microsoft products for the last 25, 30 years. So when we get a new employee in, they feel comfortable moving around in the software, where that wasn't always the case with some other software that we had in the past. Just very user-friendly. In the past, it was probably 3 to 4 weeks before we kind of cut them loose. Now it seems like it's 3 to 4 days. They're writing up orders or cutting purchase orders. It feels more natural to click through the system, to be able to dig into something and check farther on something. Basically, we're just looking for production and speed, and we seem to have gotten that along with ease. Everybody's a little bit more productive around the office, as well as the new employees. They're able to ramp up a lot quicker. It's not as painful. We're not waiting 3, 4, 5 weeks for them to kind of get up to speed. Most of the new employees we've had over the past year or 6 months have really taken to the software and able to pick it up and run with it a lot quicker than in the past. There's no definitive number that we've used. It's kind of been, where were we a year ago, where are we now? We have more volume of paperwork, and we have the same amount of people. We're producing 30 to 40% more orders with the same amount of people, because it's just that much more efficient. So you can go with less employees when you have more efficient operations. Also, I mentioned earlier about the training. We get a new employee in here and they're up and running in 3, 4, 5 days in the first week, basically, where we were 3 to 4 weeks of hand-holding with the old systems. So it allows our current employees to not have to babysit as much. They're able to get back and handle their own job and not have to do as much training, because it's not necessary. We don't have a definitive ROI number or cost savings, but as far as people and just not needing as many people in the office, it's definitely there. We had a separate accounting software that was linked in with our traveler software, our job shop software. It was very cumbersome to link the two together and get good reporting out of it. The old software was very dated. I'd been with the company 17 years at the time that we made the change, and the software looked the exact same. Well, nothing looks the exact same from 17 years ago if you're updating it. A website is not the same from 2005 or 2008, or everything's changing and evolving. I remember hearing the story, if your website hadn't been updated in 18 months, it's old. I felt that same way about the software. It didn't look good. It didn't feel good. It wasn't easy to move around in. Everything was 6 and 7 clicks away, and you had to open up this report and that report to get the numbers you wanted. And then just not having the accounting linked in together, it just became cumbersome to getting them to kind of, talk to each other. Some of the issues we had is just, it was very dated. and cumbersome, and it wasn't flexible. We would ask for something to be done. And on top of that, if it could be done, it took the company 4 or 5 months to do it. Trend Software has been very responsive. If it's not done the same, at minimum, you're getting a response the same day and saying, yeah, this is going to take us 3 to 4 days, or yeah, I just knocked this out, or it'll be ready in an hour. Along with that came the Power BI reports. And those are a world of difference over the old software, being able to have those kind of interactive reports and updated, every couple of hours, and having just fluid data has been very valuable out of the new system. And none of this was possible with the old software. Not everybody wants to just look at a spreadsheet. Like, if you can get some interactive bar graphs and kind of some charting and things like that, to where you're not just looking at numbers on a sheet of paper. It's much more eye-catching. I think the data is more easily read, being able to see how it flows up and down, being able to click around it and adjust it and tweak it as you want has been very, very refreshing. There's a couple of reports that I get emailed every morning at, 7 a.m. So I know, previous days' numbers and things like that. We've gone as far as link it up to a couple of our the PLC is on a couple of our automated plating lines. And so it grabs the exit data off of the lines and sends me an email every morning with what the guys did yesterday. So I know, hey, was there an issue on the line? I can get to my operator. Why did you guys only do X amount of pounds of work? What's going on? That kind of a deal. Whatever it is, I get an answer out of them. The data is there, and you can be able to ask the questions you need to. All the stuff can be before you get out of bed in the morning. The email's waiting for you, so you know what kind of problems you're dealing with out in the shop, and that before you get to the shop, you go out and talk to the operator. They may or may not tell you what was going on the day before, but this thing is, the information out of the computer is what it is, and there's no arguing with that. It's been good having all the data and easily accessible and laid out in a nice manner. It was a long sell for Bobby. We did meet back in 2018, and finally I called him up, and I think somewhere around the middle of end of 22, and said, hey, I think we're finally going to make a decision. It's one of those things that there's never a good time to do a transaction like this, changing over 2 different softwares into one at a single time. We kind of just put it off to where, like, we're just beating our heads against the wall with old software. And we're like, we got to make a change. There's never going to be a good time to do this, so let's just rip the Band-Aid off and let's go for it. And it's turned out to be a very good decision. I'm glad we did it. It was very casual. I didn't feel pressured to make a decision. Every 6 months or so, he'd check in, or we'd run into each other. Or, the ball was in our court. We had the information. He would just follow up, and then we'd get an email every once in a while talking about, you guys are doing one of your webinars. And so I think maybe that's even how we got back into it. There was one of the webinars, and I was like, let's sit down. And I grabbed a couple of people from the team, some of the order entry staff and some of the accountants. I was like, why don't you guys look at this and see if this is something you guys think we should do? Because it was all kind of upper management that's solid at surfing. Do it. Make the change. Pull the trigger. Make the change. Also, make sure you have the right team to help implement this. On our side, I had developed a really good team of some longtime employees, some people that knew the old software and knew our customers really well. And I think that made my life a lot easier in helping or made it better for our company. Being able to do the transition, it was a big deal. We had the same software for over 20 years. So going through a transition, getting everybody's buy-in, right? Not everybody likes change. We forced them to change, but we also got the right people involved in our business and had them dedicated for a few months leading up to it. And then afterwards, we kind of met on a weekly basis. Hey, where are we at on this? What do we need to do? And then kind of set up meetings as necessary on, hey, we'd like to do this, we'd like to do that. You need a good team in place. But that's the biggest thing, is get the right people on board with you and that are going to put forth the effort to make the change. It's not easy. It's not an easy transition to make. It's worth it, all the headaches and things like that are involved in it. But you get really good support from the TrendSoft team. You got to put forth the effort, and in the end, you'll end up in a much, much, much better place than where you started. And that's ultimately what you're trying to do.